To truly grasp why this alliance matters so much, we must delve into the power brokers, their tangled histories, and the ambitions that have brought them together across continents and centuries. Let's pull back the curtain on the key players and the unseen forces that set this unlikely partnership in motion. Why would Qatar risk not just billions of dollars in investment, but also its carefully managed reputation on a partner most headlines call broke? The answer is nothing like charity. This is a hard-bargained alliance where gold buys gas and loyalty is exchanged for roads and power grids. It is a deal crafted to leave Western giants locked out, forced to watch as the rules of international engagement are rewritten before their eyes. Whispers now echo across embassies and trading floors, from Dakar to Washington. This partnership, obscure to many, could topple West Africa's old order and redraw the global map overnight. Ignore this story, and you risk missing the opening gambit in a new competition, one where Africa's future is decided in secret, loyalties shift with a handshake, and fortunes rise or fall before the world even blinks. What if the world's richest gas empire quietly chose to back the poorest country in West Africa, and no one noticed until the balance of power had already shifted? Imagine, in a dimly lit hotel suite in Doha, a clandestine meeting between senior Qatari officials and Burkina Faso's military rulers. This meeting, hidden from the glare of cameras and the curiosity of the press, sent ripples through Africa's diplomatic undercurrents. Few expected Qatar, renowned for its seemingly endless natural gas reserves, its shimmering skyline, and its staggering wealth, to gamble on a landlocked nation hobbled by sanctions, internal conflict, and decades of global neglect. A kingdom of glass towers, endless wealth, and a voice in every global council. Its sovereign wealth fund owns skyscrapers in London, malls in Paris, and stakes in blue-chip companies in New York. Qatar's hosting of the World Cup in 2022 was not just a sporting event, it was a statement of arrival on the world stage. Over the past 2 decades, Qatar has used its energy wealth to buy not just luxury, but influence, shaping markets and tipping the scales of power far beyond the Gulf. Landlocked, battered by insurgents, and fighting daily for the basics. In Ouagadougou, the capital, power cuts are common, and many children walk miles to school along dusty roads. On the surface, these countries could not be more distant, geographically, economically, even in the stories the world tells about them. But something has shifted. Quietly, almost imperceptibly, Qatar began to reach out, dispatching doctors, funding clinics, granting scholarships to Burkinabe youth. At first, these gestures seemed modest, perhaps even symbolic, yet behind each act lay a deeper strategy, a calculated move in a game few even realized had begun. Yet, what could possibly bring them together? Qatar sits atop one of the largest natural gas reserves on Earth, its energy fueling an empire of investments from London to Shanghai. Its wealth buys not just comfort, but leverage. Meanwhile, Burkina Faso ranks among the poorest nations on the planet. Hemmed in by borders, beset by violence, its people often struggle just to get by. Reliant on foreign aid, its ambitions have long been overshadowed by a relentless fight for survival. Both sides were searching for leverage. Qatar wanted partners beyond its usual Western allies, sensing opportunity in West Africa's shifting landscape. Burkina Faso, tired of old dependencies, longed for new alliances that could break the chains of its colonial legacy. Ignore these intertwined motives, and you miss the real story. This is not charity. It is the first gambit in a high-stakes contest, as both nations risk what little they have, wealth, reputation, even sovereignty, to escape the gravitational pull of Western power. But the story does not stop at financial aid. What followed would draw both countries into a secret negotiation, fraught with risk and carrying consequences neither could fully predict. As the talks moved behind closed doors, new actors entered the scene. each with their own agendas and secrets. The true cost of partnership was about to be revealed. A landlocked nation with no natural gas reserves and no coastline, yet billions of dollars were on the line. What did Burkina Faso possess that made Qatar, one of the richest and most resource-blessed countries on earth, take notice? On the surface, the partnership made no sense. Qatar is flush with gas and cash, commanding a seat at the global table. Burkina Faso, by contrast, is racked by internal conflict, dismissed as an aid-dependent backwater, and cut off from the sea. Yet behind the velvet curtains of five-star hotel suites, a clandestine deal was taking shape, one that threatened to upend the balance of power in West Africa. Qatar faced a pressing dilemma. The global gas market had become fiercely competitive. The United States, Russia, and rising African producers like Nigeria and Mozambique were all scrambling to stake their claims. For Qatar, survival meant more than selling gas. It meant forging new alliances, opening untapped markets, and beating rivals to the punch. Burkina Faso, surprisingly, held a trump card that money could not easily buy: geography. Positioned at the crossroads of West Africa, it connects the Sahel to the bustling coastal economies. Even without its own gas, Burkina Faso was the gateway for pipelines, trade routes, and influence, a staging ground for any power that could earn its trust. And there was another, shinier lure: gold. Burkina Faso's mines glimmered with promise, offering not only instant profits, but also a durable grip on the region's resources. As military-led governments spread across the Sahel, eager to shrug off French domination, Qatar spotted a rare chance to win friends and shape loyalties in territories long considered out of reach. Qatar's investments in Burkina Faso were never charity. Each new hospital, road, or development project was a move in a larger contest, a way of gaining influence, building connections, and boxing out competitors for decades to come. The real objective? To become Africa's indispensable partner before rivals like Turkey or China could take the lead. The secret agreement was audacious. In return for Qatari investment, Burkina Faso offered multi-decade contracts for infrastructure, energy, and logistics. Qatari firms gained privileged access to gold and other vital minerals. Diplomatically, Burkina Faso pledged to back Qatar in regional forums, alliances, and crucial votes. Into this high-stakes game stepped Captain Ibrahim Traore. Young, magnetic, and unafraid to challenge the West, Traore brought something unusual to the table: actual credibility. His popularity at home, burnished by his ascetic lifestyle and anti-corruption rhetoric, made him a leader whose promises could be trusted. Unlike those before him, Traore did not answer to Paris or Washington. He had the authority to make good on his word, and Qatar took note. To see how this works in practice, consider the Qatar National Fund's recent $200 million commitment to build solar power plants in the northern provinces of Burkina Faso, where electricity shortages have stymied growth for generations. Or the medical partnerships that have sent Qatari specialists to rural clinics, treating thousands of patients who would otherwise go without care. These are not just acts of goodwill. They are strategic investments designed to win loyalty at the village level while creating visible symbols of partnership. This was no simple aid package. It was a shrewd partnership with leverage on both sides. If it succeeded, the deal would not just remake Burkina Faso's future. It would show that African states can set their own terms, breaking free from Western control and rewriting the rules of post-colonial power. But every bold move sends shockwaves. Old empires are watching, and they will not surrender their hold on West Africa without a fight. Now, as the ink dries on secret contracts, rivals and skeptics alike are circling. The true test of this fragile alliance and its challengers has only just begun. Paris, Washington, Brussels, the alarms are blaring. Is it possible that a single deal between Qatar and Burkina Faso could disrupt the entire African order? Western capitals are on edge. The threat of losing gold, energy corridors, and loyal partners sends tremors through boardrooms and embassies. This is not just about one country. It is about the unraveling of an old system of control. For generations, Western powers dominated West Africa. French oil companies, American mining conglomerates, and European diplomats carved up the region, believing its resources and loyalty were theirs by default. Now, murmurs of a Qatar-Burkina alliance ripple through diplomatic circles, suggesting that that era may be over. To understand the potential impact, look to history. When the United States began investing in Saudi Arabia's oil sector in the 1930s, few predicted that a single partnership would transform the Arabian Peninsula into a global power center and completely reshape energy markets. Or consider China's Belt and Road Initiative. What started as individual deals with obscure Central Asian nations has, over 2 decades, shifted the world's trade routes and raised Beijing's profile from regional player to superpower. Qatar's alliance with Burkina Faso carries the same potential for outsized influence if it can avoid the pitfalls that often follow such bold moves. The stakes are immense, continental, even global. Should Burkina Faso thrive with Qatari support? Who will be next? Mali's military rulers watch with interest. Niger, reeling from sanctions, is restless. Guinea's leaders observe the plan emerging in Ouagadougou. Each hopes for an escape from Western dependency, and Qatar promises investment, dignity, and no lectures about governance. But Qatar's ambitions stretch beyond Burkina's borders. Doha seeks more than gold or influence. It wants to become a bridge between continents. In its vision, Qatar is the patron of a reinvented Sahel, mediating disputes, funding progress, and shaping a future long neglected by the West. Already, Qatari-funded projects are appearing. Hospitals in the north, roads stitching together isolated provinces, energy plants bringing light to cities once dark after sunset. Each unveiling is a statement. There is a new force in the region, and its aid bears no colonial legacy. The former powers are not idle. Western diplomats scramble, pressuring local leaders, warning of unseen risks and lost freedoms. They rush to secure old contracts, offer new aid deals, and invoke the West's security commitments. The dominoes are set. Who gains, who loses, and how far the shockwaves will travel is the question now gripping analysts from Dakar to Washington. Could this alliance trigger a domino effect? Imagine a bloc, Mali, Niger, Guinea, Burkina Faso, turning not to Paris or Washington, but to Doha, Ankara, or even Beijing. The balance of power tilts, not only in capitals, but in villages, mines, and marketplaces across the Sahel. Yet for a generation raised on broken promises, these cautions sound empty. Across West Africa, the chance for true independence, economic, political, even psychological, feels closer than ever before. But this is only the beginning. Beneath the celebrations and the suspense, the new partnership brings risks and opportunities no one can yet foresee. As the first Qatari investments take root, the world holds its breath. The next moves from both sides will determine if this gamble becomes a revolution or a cautionary tale. Burkina Faso is betting everything on a bold new path. Instead of accepting Western aid with strings, it has struck a secretive deal fueled by Qatari billions, offering gold and loyalty in exchange for roads, hospitals, and power plants. On paper, it is a leap over the slow crawl of IMF loans and endless conditions. Qatar's motives are clear-eyed. By pouring vast sums into West African infrastructure, it is buying not just resources, but influence, securing a future stake in a region long dominated by outside powers. The upfront costs are small compared to the clout and access gained. Soft power to rival Paris, Beijing, or Washington. Can anyone truly escape the grip of old masters without stumbling into new traps? History offers cautionary tales. In the 1960s, Ghana broke from British influence, only to find itself caught between American and Soviet interests. Egypt's Nasser played the superpowers for aid, but ultimately paid the price in lost autonomy. Will Burkina Faso be able to maintain its sovereignty, or will it simply swap one patron for another? This barter arrangement is a sharp break from the past. No lectures about democracy, no colonial hangover, just quiet deals hammered out behind closed doors. Other African leaders are watching. If Burkina Faso succeeds, a wave of similar deals could upend the balance of power, leaving the West scrambling to catch up. Yet, every shortcut has its price. By tying its hopes to a single wealthy partner, Burkina Faso risks trading old dependencies for new ones. The rise of Qatari projects means decisions made in Doha could shape daily life in Ouagadougou. So what does this high-stakes experiment tell us about the new rules of global power? The secrecy adds another layer of danger. With so much hidden, who truly benefits? How much say do ordinary citizens have? If promised gains fail to appear, anger and unrest may follow, fueled by suspicion and frustration. The stakes could not be higher. Success would make Burkina Faso a symbol of post-colonial independence, a nation charting its own course, inspiring others across Africa. But failure could mean deeper isolation, or simply swapping one set of chains for another. To guard against these risks, Burkina Faso's leaders can learn from the experience of countries like Angola, where massive Chinese investments in the 2000s built roads but also saddled the nation with unsustainable debt. Transparent contracts, public oversight, and regular consultations with civil society are essential guardrails. Otherwise, the promise of independence could turn into a new form of subjugation. In the next chapter, we explore how this secret alliance is already shifting alliances across West Africa and what it could mean for the world's next resource scramble. Africa is no longer waiting on the sidelines. It is seizing the pen and rewriting the script. Have you noticed the shift, or are you still looking through the old lens? The partnership between Qatar and Burkina Faso is not just another fleeting headline. It is a beacon in the darkness, signaling that nations once labeled as powerless are now stepping into the spotlight, setting their own terms and forcing the world to pay attention. This is not charity, nor is it the familiar tale of aid laced with hidden conditions. Instead, it is a daring negotiation, gold exchanged for gas, loyalty for investment, sovereignty for genuine partnership. Here, deals are struck through mutual respect, determination, and the courage to challenge the structures built by Western hands. Burkina Faso, once dismissed and underestimated, is turning its supposed disadvantages into powerful leverage. With Qatar's capital and strategic vision, the country is raising hospitals, building roads, and electrifying communities, projects previously choked by debt or foreign interference. In exchange, Qatar gains access to rare minerals, untapped markets, and a loyal partner in a continent that is rapidly redrawing its alliances. In practical terms, the Burkina Faso-Qatar partnership offers a playbook for African states seeking greater leverage. First, identify what you have, be it gold, strategic geography, or even symbolic value, and package it as indispensable. Second, diversify your alliances. By welcoming Qatari investment, Burkina Faso sends a message to other suitors that its loyalty is not for sale to the highest Western bidder alone. Third, insist on mutual benefit. Demand visible projects, schools, roads, clinics, rather than abstract promises. And finally, maintain transparency. Publish details of deals, seek input from citizens, and avoid the secrecy that so often turns hope into resentment. Overlook these changes at your own peril. Clinging to outdated assumptions about Africa risks missing out on the alliances and opportunities that will define the next era. The days when power moved in only one direction are gone. Influence is now bartered, brokered, and won in closed rooms by leaders rewriting the rules as they go. The world's future is being negotiated in places you would least expect. Will you see the signs before the map changes forever? So what does this mean for you? Whether you are an investor eyeing the next frontier, a policymaker seeking to understand shifting alliances, or simply someone curious about the world's next chapter, the message is clear. Watch the silent deals. The next tectonic shift in global politics may not come with headlines, but it is already underway, reshaping who holds the power and how the game is played.